Hi, today we're going to look at dividing dahlias. In previous videos you would have seen us divide dahlias in quite a strong and striking manner with a machete and a mallet. Today we're going to look at a more delicate surgical approach to dividing dahlias. This is especially important when you're dealing with smaller dahlia clumps with multiple crowns. For example, this dahlia clump here and this one here. Before we start, let's talk about some of the tools that are useful when you're doing surgical, precise dividing of dahlias. First of all, you want some snips like this. These are goat hoof trimmers. They have enough strength to cut through the crown region of a dahlia. Highly recommend these. They come in flat edge blade and serrated. Some people find the serrated easier to use. I like the flat edge blade because it's easy to clean. You'll also want a strong knife, such as this, with a strong straight spine or close to straight spine at the back. That's because sometimes you'll be hitting it with a waddy like this to get through hard crown tissue. You'll also need some cold chisels. A smaller one, here I have a 13mm, and over here I have a 19mm. And these are very useful for dealing with crowns and lifting or leveraging the tissue as you divide. Also, a dividing board. Now these are ones that we've custom designed here at Apollo Farm based on Keith Hammett's dividing board from about 20 years ago, and then we've refined this over the last 3 years. The key is to have a solid wood base that's stable, reliable, and then a spine. And the spine supports the dahlia tuber as you divide it. So you can sit the dahlia tuber on the spine like this, and it's stable. It doesn't move as you're dividing, and it doesn't break the necks of the dahlia. If you're pushing down or cutting on a dahlia, it's very easy to damage the necks if you're pushing onto a flat surface. So by having a spine on your dividing board, it offers you a lot more support. Okay, so we've got our tools ready. We do need to keep in mind hygiene. If we suspect we've got a pathogen or a virus in our population, then it is useful to sterilize our tools between dividing dahlias. So here I have a mix of 30% Handy Andy and water, and then I'm first of all sterilizing my tool, and then I'm rinsing it off afterwards. So if I suspected I had a pathogen, I would do that. Clean my tools between each cultivar in my population. You don't have to do it. It's only if you suspect you have a pathogen. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about some of the basic principles of dividing, just refresh on those. So with a dahlia tuber clump, you will have the tuber, the eyes. If you can see there are some nice red eyes popping up in this one here, and then the crown region, which is around here. This is the dead tissue, an old stem. You can see it here in this example where you actually have 3 crown regions. In order for your dahlia tuber to grow into a plant, you need the tuber, a viable eye. Viable, I mean one that isn't damaged, it hasn't been rubbed off. So for that reason, you don't want to handle the tuber clump around the crown region. That's why when digging my dahlias, I nominate 1 or 2 stems, leave them a little bit longer like this, and it's much easier to handle the dahlia clump. So we're going to divide our dahlias, and we should keep in mind our objective. How small do we want to divide down to? We could divide down to what is known as a chicken leg. Now this is viable. This will grow into a plant. It has those three components. We've got our tuber, eyes, and crown region. The drawback with going down this small when you divide is that you will have less eyes and less crown region. So there is the possibility, an increased possibility, that that will not grow into a plant. It's much safer to divide down to that size there. You've got more crown region, more connections between the crown and the tuber, and therefore more eyes. So the dahlia's eye cell, I like to go down to that size. Sometimes I'll go down to that size if I'm wanting to build up my population and have to get as many tubers, as many new plants out of one tuber clump. Say I'm wanting to increase the numbers I have of a cultivar. All right, well, let's get cracking. The first thing to do is to tidy up my clump here by removing the old roots, which are known as rat's tails. Now, I want to remove these because they're just going to break and dry, and it's much better for the plant to stimulate fresh growth, new roots in spring. I want to get all those growth hormones flowing. So easiest if I just do it over a bin like this, just trim them off. This also helps me see what's happening down below. It's just a lot easier to see what I'm doing once I've got these out the way. Okay, you'll notice I've got the name tag here. I use wire, and I'm going to pop that in there. Now with this particular one, you can see there are 3 crowns, so I can easily get 3 clumps out of this. Okay, so I'm going to put it on my dahlia dividing board, make sure it's nice and stable, it's not moving. And then I need to think, what's the best tool for this situation? Here, there isn't a lot of hard tissue, so I can go through like this here. Okay, so that's one crown. And I've got plenty of eyes I can see there. I'm going to repeat just here. There's another one. And I'm just going to trim that down so it can easily fit in the pot. That's the other thing to keep in mind, is you want something that's going to easily fit into a pot. Sometimes tubers can get really long, and they don't make pots horizontal, they make them down like this. So dividing down to a size which is practical. Now this one here, I could go down even further, and I think I will. You'll see here on the stem above the original crown, another crown has formed with a tuber, and that happens quite often if you've got lots of mulch, and the stem will actually form another tuber crown connection. Okay, just pop these in here. This one I'm actually going to divide further. I'm just going across like that there. That's fine. So I've gone down to a chicken leg in this instance here. And that's because I'm wanting to build up numbers of this particular cultivar. Okay. Right, next we're going to look at dividing using a chisel. So a chisel like this is really useful if you're wanting to leverage a crown off the tuber clump. Sometimes crowns will form on top of each other. So you'll see that here, I've got a crown here, another crown here, and another crown region there. So I want to get underneath that crown connection. I'm going to use a waddy and a fine chisel. You just want to be gentle. You don't want to force it too much. Remembering this is surgical delicate division. Okay, I'm going to need to go in a little bit more with that one. Just gently lifting it off there. Sometimes the tubers get intermeshed, tangled within each other. These are also great if you've got little bits of tissue connecting. The sharp point is helpful. Okay. So you can see from behind where I went in with the chisel here. This is got a bit too much flesh open for me. It's not a clean cut, and I prefer a clean cut. You're less likely to have pathogens enter. So I'm just going to chop that off. It's just excess weight. There we have it. Okay, so I'll continue to divide that further with the chisel, and if I encounter tubers like this one here, that's got a damaged neck, I'll just snip that off. No harm done. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Precision surgical dividing of dahlias. Practice makes perfect. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. Thank you for watching.